talk about the Colts real quick, because they're kind of the other AFC team at the top, and you had them. I mean, we both have them top 5. Obviously, I had them at 4. You had them at 3, and really, I could have argued for them at 3 or 2, or shoot, some feelings 1, because you look at this freaking offense. I mean, just real quick, 3.46 points a drive. Anything above 3 is an all-time offense. They're almost a half point above that. And I know people, I've seen the stats, like other people are sharing that. First in DVOA, first in offensive DVOA, 12th in defensive DVOA, which is a little higher than I would expect. It's 7th in special teams DVOA, which is not nothing. Not only is their run game incredible, at 49% rushing success rate, and then just watch Jonathan Taylor obliterate every safety angle that you see. They're not really using Daniel Jones's legs, which I think is cool. Which I think is maybe helping him out a little bit, because he's not maybe concussed as he's about to throw the next football, as you're watching Brian Dable use Jackson Dart and lost cause games and using him like a battering ram.
Oh my God.
Really worried.
That is a
really
great
worried
point.
about really trying to develop Jackson Dart. You know, let's run him into a stacked defensive box over and over, even though we're down 3 scores. Yeah. Okay. But the defense, I have some issues with. I don't think it's a great defense, but then kind of Lou Anarumo's the wild card. And he just, as long as they're average, you know, and they have those safeties, and they actually get a lot of pressure, which I actually was surprised by. Or a decent, they're second in pressure rate for a defense right now. The Broncos are only one higher. And they got Lou Anarumo kind of like, once he gets kind of the game plan, Lou Anarumo, that kind of is an interesting wild card. So I kept him at 4th, but I could easily argue them higher. You had him 1 spot higher, but strengths, obviously the offense, but any maybe stuff blemishes that maybe you're focusing on with the Colts right now.
Yeah, I think still the cornerback situation is one that bears monitoring. They kind of get, and this is like so minor nitpicky. This is when you know you're a good team, when I'm going to say they kind of get stung by these small, fast guys every now and again. I think about Troy Franklin's game against them a few weeks ago, or almost like a month ago at this point. Chamir Dike, who, by the way, is playing pretty good football for the Tennessee Titans. He's playing really well right now. So shout out to them. He's better than Alec Iomanner, but I mean, like that, he got him for a couple of those like horizontal stretch plays a little bit. I think when teams can really, which by the way, if we're talking about AFC playoffs, like going against the Colts, nobody, or he's going against the Chiefs, nobody's better at the horizontal stretch pass game and getting guys into space. So that I can already see it now, you know, literally Worthy, Rice, just a bunch of crossers and mesh and everything like that. Yeah, that is at least something to file away here, not to like spook Colts fans already, but that is one like kind of nitpick about this team, that they do consistently get bit by those type of receivers. But otherwise, I do think the coverages on the back end are good, and like a Mahomes type quarterback can probably, I mean, we've seen Anarumo have success against Mahomes at times, but you know, he's the type of player who can solve that. But other quarterbacks are going to get fooled and make mistakes there and not find the open guys when you kind of mug up the number one. That's the thing. I think this team is pretty good at taking away primary threats and making you play a little bit left-handed. And if you've got the right type of offense, that they probably can find those holes in this defense, but otherwise they mug things up front, they mug things up on the back end. I like that. Offensively, I don't really have, other than just any sort of Daniel Jones trap door, which I guess that's always going to be in the back of your mind, but he's given us with it's different. I think people will compare this to Sam Darnold last year, when it's like, oh, well, when the games mattered at the end, that's when the trap door fell for Sam Darnold or whatever. But Darnold, I think, had shown you some signs that like those parts of his game, and this is in that offense, 100%, right? Like he had shown you some signs that that was like present, right? When he would get under pressure, and it's a very, very, very vertical offense. That was something we said last year, even with the Vikings, that it was, man, when are they going to have kind of a little bit of a, like, they need more layups here. They need more easy buttons for Sam when he gets into chaos mode. And it was just, no, push it, push it, push it. This offense is littered with easy buttons for Daniel Jones. So he has not, it's just 8 weeks into the season, so it could still happen. But I don't think he's given us any reason through 8 weeks to be like, see, when it happens, it's going to be because of this.
Exactly. The worst game was the Rams game, and they caught him twice where they got him, you know, and maybe there's one other one that they dropped. But that was the thing. It was, okay, They could have won that game if A.D. Mitchell doesn't drop the ball at the 1 yard line.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like it wasn't like lost by 4 scores and 7 years ago. But no, it wasn't like it wasn't anything like that. It was just that this offense churns, and we talk about it all the time. They just have a lot of good. There's just a lot of B plus, A minus players throughout this entire offense and roster, really. And even the guy that I think is the biggest negative on their offense, the center, Bortolini, has been so much better in the last couple of weeks. So it's I've totally gave up, like going like, oh, this is going to drop off. Like I think this is just such a good operation. The designs are awesome. They get Warren going sometimes. All right, next play, Michael Pittman gets going. All right, 3rd and long. All right, here comes the deep ball to Alec Pierce, who's dunking on everybody. And that's another thing. Their 3rd and long plan, which what you're speaking to, like kind of the Darnold trapdoor, the Daniel Jones trapdoor. 3rd and long is like these automatic pass situations or heavy pass situations. They have the plan that I like. They're not throwing and catching and running or getting heated up and have to throw hot. They block it up, and then Daniel Jones unpins their grenade and launches it, which is what I'm a huge believer in as an offensive like kind of philosophy. I think that's the way you have to go about it on 3rd and long. And it works because they have Pierce, and then they have Daniel Jones, who is trusting what he's seeing. And the designs are really, really good. And they're getting into them every week in, week out. They get into some cool 3rd and long design. So yeah, I keep going. Do I think this is going to be a historically great offense? Maybe not, but now I'm like, well, maybe, because I'm not. The O-line's good. Jones is playing really well. They don't turn the ball over. They don't get a lot of penalties. Like, it's just a clean, really good operation right now. And Jonathan Taylor looks absolutely incredible. So
you know what I think really... I'm thinking about as you're talking about this, that I kind of think this offense is a weird blend of the two things that you and I probably really like in offenses, besides the fact they have a good run game, they're real well coached and all that stuff. I think that's that scratches both of our itches. But you like what you just said there, the vertical on 3rd down, like really block it up and launch it, which I'm that too. But the thing that really gets me going is that in the red zone, they weaponize like, and I know they just like Michael Pittman just dunked on somebody last week in the end zone. So fair enough, but they don't do a lot of the dumb, stupid, like, oh, let's throw a fade to one of our tall guys. Let's weaponize our small separator who like, oh yeah, the guy who gets open like this in an instant in small condensed areas in the large section of the field. Josh Downs, let's weaponize that close. I always wish more teams would do that, and not enough teams do that. I even think the Rams, who we're going to talk about in a second, they get into that like, all right, well, we're in the red zone, time to throw a fade. Like, no, why don't you do more with the guy who's open at every other level of the field in Puka Nacua? Right. I mean, far be it for me to criticize Sean McVay, but that's just, I think they're the blend of the two things that you and I really like in these like micro but critical down and distance situations.
They, I think it was the Warren touchdown against the Chargers. It was just like, I know you bring up Downs and stuff like that, but like even that one, it was just a thoughtful design. Like it's like you're saying, it's real design. It's because a fade, I understand like the fade in a classical sense is that, it's an advantage read. And I think some teams have really gotten away from that. I noticed how a lot of RPOs are run anyways, as when you have Randy freaking Moss, it's an advantage against anyone you go against. But then a lot of teams go, oh, 1-on-1, that's our number one receiver. But it's like, can your number one receiver actually dunk on guys, or is it just a theory? But
I mean, the Bucs threw fades to Sterling Shepard and Emeka Egbuka in last week's game. And like, I adore both of those players at different levels. And I think Egbuka's a dog. But like, come on, what are we doing here?
Mike Evans? Yeah. But any other, right. But I'm totally with you. Yeah, I know. So it's complimenting the Colts is that there's a lot of thoughtfulness. It's not just doing stuff to like get a couple tweets on, people going like, oh, that was a cool play design. It was like, no, this is actual good design, but the players are getting in good spots. So Colts top 3 team.